So we are officially live. Hello, everybody. So, we are in the middle of our giant rocket fuel factory. And what I've realized is that we actually need to pause this for a brief moment because we're going to be placing, I think I did the calculation that it was like 810 fuel generators, which is a lot of fuel generators, and we are going to need more resources to construct all of those. So, we go here, we need motors, encased industrial beams, copper sheets, rubber, and quick wire. So, that should be fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to run around and make sure that we have enough supplies of all of those things. So let's start by respawning. And the first step is going to be heading back to the old base, because I think I had most of a SAM fluctuator set up over there before I realized I didn't have manufacturers to actually automate them. So I just need to hope that that's correct, and I do have all the resources for SAM fluctuators approximately gathered. Alright, so we have SAM, not in that category. N for SAM fluctuator. It is SAM, wire, and steel pipes. So we have wire, we have reanimated SAM, we have steel pipes. So, let us get a foundation off of this. And we just need to automate some of this so that I don't have to manual craft like 200 of the SAM fluctuators, which would take ages and be annoying. So, manufacturer. And we get the wire, which I guess has to come up a lift. I don't know how fast that wire belt is. It looks like it is Mark 1. That's fine. We're set to SAM fluctuator. Cool. Next up we get the reanimated SAM, which I can take that off, honestly. Don't need that. I don't need the reanimated SAM attached to dimensional storage if I have the fluctuators just directly attached. And then this just needs to split off up here in case it's doing anything important. And then we power it on. And we grab that. And then we just have to set up a storage container for this. So we get a box with a dimensional depot on top and a conveyor lift going in. And then that goes across. Now this is 10 per minute, and we need, how much do we need? Is it 200 or more than that? We need, yeah, we need 200, and we are now crafting 10 per minute, assuming that these numbers all work out, which I think they do. So that should get us there in like 20 minutes. So that's fine. Then the next thing we need to do is upgrade the other stuff, which we're not going to be doing here in the old factory, because this old factory is, well, old. I don't really want to be using this for all this stuff. We have this wire outputting 30 wire a minute. That's probably... I don't even know where the dimensional depot is for these things. And this is quick wire and copper sheets. Alright. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we have both enough storage and enough dimensional depot speed. So we need to also grab another couple Mercer spheres. We don't need that many, but I want to have like two... I want to have 2 uploaders per resource on top of upgrading the speed to 240 a minute per uploader. And that should give me, hopefully, plenty. Where are you? Gotta be down here somewhere. Why can I not find you? There's gotta be an opening. There's gotta be an opening. Now we're kind of far away. It seems unlikely. Is it just like on top and I've missed it or something? No, it's definitely inside somewhere. Alright, well, I give up finding that one. We're going to wander off towards the motor factory because we have upgrades to do there as well. So that's, I believe, this one. And it would be nice if there were some Mercer spheres. I assume that this hard drive has already been used, right? Yes. We will dismantle it and keep on moving. So I'm pretty sure this is the motor factory. So we're going to pop up there, make sure it's still working, and then upgrade its storage. Because obviously the production should be fine as long as we give it a bit of head start, but I don't know if it has enough of a head start with what box I've put in there. And that's also assuming that this is actually motors and not something else. Alright, up we go. Ah, this is something else. This is flexible frameworks. Alright, well, we don't need to upgrade that. We need to find the motors, which are... Oh, I think I remember the motors being over there somewhere. Alright, well, we're going to head off and continue looking for Mercer spheres while we do. The classic game of trying to find your old factories again. It's been quite a while, and I haven't exactly had any need to visit it. Because it's been working well. Sorry about that sneeze. Alright, so we head on over here. I think that's the motors there, unless it's something else. So let's see, we go past here. This is not going to be motors. This is going to be like something silly like smart plating. No, this is steel beams, apparently. Which is good because... Oh, I thought... No, okay. Encased industrial beams is one of the ones that we need, not steel beams. I don't know why we're even doing this, to be honest, but sure. I guess it was for belts back in the day. Then this is coal power. This is going to be the smart plating here, I believe. Yep, here it is, and it's still working just fine, like how I left it. and is apparently the modular engine factory that I hooked up here is not functioning. So that's a shame. Alright, up we go. And hopefully I'm remembering correctly, and this is the motors. So let's climb up these convenient ladders that I've left for myself. Up we go. And then we jetpack the rest of the way. Alright, are you a motor factory? No, you are not. You are also something else entirely. Alright, so then where's my motor factory then? Because if this isn't the motor factory and that isn't the motor factory, then what is the motor factory? Maybe it's... No, I could have sworn it was in this general vicinity. I was pretty sure that this is where it was. Now that it isn't here, I do not know where to look. Alright, maybe I can pull up the interactive map and see where factories exist. Alright, so let's do that real quick. Just gotta navigate through all this stuff. Factory game, save games, and we load that up. And hopefully it will tell us where the motor factory is somehow. Alright. Oh, it might be... No, that's going to be modular frames, isn't it? Alright, motor factory, where are you? Well, we're going to look at that one anyways, just to be sure, because it might be, and if I skip it because I think I know it's something else and I'm wrong, then that would suck. So we head back this way to what I'm fairly certain is a modular frame factory, but it might be motors. It is probably around the right time frame of when I built it. So let's head on over past all of these coal generators. Alright. And over this way. Now, I could have sworn it was here because this is where the steel was for the stators and such. Maybe it's like there's even more factories in this area than I thought. It might be this, actually. Is this it? No, this is smart plating again. I saw the rotors and I got a bit excited. Alright. If it isn't that, it's obviously not that, because that's just concrete. So then we were just going to have to go past all of this. And apparently there's a Mercer sphere over this way. It might be in this cave. Let's follow this cave through and see where it leads. Maybe it'll lead to a motor factory. Alright, it apparently doesn't lead to a Mercer Sphere. The Mercer Sphere is apparently above ground. Alright, so we can just keep on heading through here. Alright, look, quartz. I remember this cave. Yeah, this cave is no good. This is not where we want to be. I guess we have no real choice but to get out, though. So off we go. We're going to head out through this way and then try to find the motor factory again. Let's see, where else could it be? I'm looking at the interactive map. What other locations? So I can see like sort of general blobs where factories are. And it doesn't really tell me what's being produced there, obviously. Although I might actually be able to tell... Where does this go? Approximately this way, I guess. This is fine. Alright, so I might be able to tell by just looking at the list of buildings that I have and seeing where I have, like, a bunch of buildings that make motors, and then seeing where those motors are. That might work. Alright. It's not anywhere around here. But it might be directly south of this. Alright, look. Geysers. That's neat. We're just going to ignore them because we don't really need that power, I don't think. I didn't see any power poles like directly adjacent to them that could be used for that. Alright, so here is what looks like a factory of some kind. Let's see what's going on here. I suspect this is going to be modular frames. Yeah, we've got rods, and yep, modular frames. Is still working, though, which is always great to see. Alright, then this... There's another one just down there, which I'm pretty sure is my quick wire setup, which I do need to visit actually. So let's head over here and get up the ladder. And here we are with some quick wire. And some copper sheets, apparently. Got it all here. Alright, so let's just do a quick storage upgrade on both of these, I think. So if I go organization, industrial storage, there, and then set up a dimensional depot. Alright, so that should double the amount of quick wire that can be stored, and also double the amount of quick wire that is able to be uploaded. And then, let's see, we have this copper sheets here, which I guess we aren't using for anything, because that's just going to be AI limiters, which is mostly not used much at this point. Alright, I mean, this is not like a long-term thing, this is just for the near future when we need extra power. So, we were going to need a lot of these for power production, so we may as well start with that now. So we put some of that out. You get an industrial storage container and a depot uploader. And that belt goes in. And that belt goes in. Alright, so that is copper sheets now producing a little bit more, I guess. Nothing crazy, but, you know, it's something. I'm surprised that those are allowed next to each other, but whatever. So I have no idea where our copper plate production on the, like, the other stuff is, but this will improve this for now. And as long as we just give that enough time, it'll fill up and hopefully be enough. I don't really want to come back here and upgrade this again, but there's not all that much more that can be easily done. So that's just going to fill up. So that's quick wire, check. Copper sheets, check. Now to continue looking for motors. Structures, buildings, building list, production, assemblers, and then we scroll down until we find a bunch of motors in a row. Steel frame, reinforced plates, fused wire, stators, automated wiring, motors. Here we go. Where are these? Zoom out, and they are, oh, apparently much more central, like right underneath the hub, basically. So we're going to respawn. And when I say right underneath the hub, I mean like underneath our line of train stations. It's those coal patches there, apparently. So we head east until we get to there. And we should be able to see it. I mean, it's going to be the only buildings down there. Yep, there it is. So off we go. And we just need to do the same thing we've done for the others and just put another box and another dimensional depot. Alright, so now we drop down. And yeah, okay, now I remember building this here. Been ages. Alright, so then that is a whole bunch of motors. And we just need this to zoom out to there. And we get another box. Pop dimensional depot on top. And send that across. Alright, so that should be motors done. Now if we check, we have motors, check. Copper sheets, check. Caterium, check. So we just need rubber and encased industrial beams. So I know where the encased industrial beams are, and they are up on the production right by the heavy modular frames. I do not know where the rubber is. Actually, oh, it's probably, I think I remember, yeah, building a whole thing over by the west coast. So let's respawn again. And we need to head over to these islands here, which, I mean, neither of these hypertube cannons are exactly ideal for that. I guess we can take this one and then do everything in our power to curve this way. There we go, we're heading over. And this is by the old power plant. Pretty sure the rubber production was just below it. Yeah, pretty sure it's like these machines down here. Alright, so now we're here. And we have a single box of rubber. So let's zook this out to cover more space. And then we have to... Yeah, actually, so this needs to be a little bit differently designed because we need industrial storage containers so that we can split them properly. So that's to go like that. And then feed into there. Then we put dimensional depots there and there. And then connect them up like so. And that should get rubber stockpiling. And then the only thing we need is the encased industrial beams. So let's respawn again. And this time the heavy modular frames are just a little bit this way. I'm going to overshoot. Alright. Here we are. So we have this, which sends the encased industrial beams into this box here. Now we just need to find a little bit of extra space, which is going to be harder here because we have other stuff, but we should be able to just fit it in like this. So you go like that. You get a dimensional depot and a conveyor lift. Alright, so now that should be encased industrial beam storage, also significantly expanded. And then the last thing we need to do is, see, that's all of them, right? Motors, check. Encased industrial beams, check. Copper sheets, check. Rubber, check. Quick wire, check. So yeah, that should be everything. The copper sheets is a bit dubious, but hopefully it'll be fine. So then the only thing we need to do is go here, and we need to grab at least 2 more SAM fluctuators, or not SAM fluctuators, we need to grab at least 2 more Mercer spheres. So let's just drop down anywhere, and hopefully you should be able to find them. We're in a bit of an unpopulated area here, so it should be somewhere that I haven't scoured too closely for the Mercer spheres. And there's one over this way. And there it is. And let's see, we only strictly need 2, but I'm going to grab, hopefully 3 or 4. Just so that we have extras, because we're going to have to go Mercer sphere hunting again after this soon, but I don't want it to be, immediate. Alright, there's another one. And apparently there's one over this way. Okay, where is it pointing me? It's pointing me this way. I thought I saw it, but that was just a weird plant. Alright. It seems like it's... Is that destructible? No. Which means that it is underground somewhere. Unfortunate. Or maybe it's up in a tree. No, it's not up in a tree. There's no trees near. Alright, so if it were underground, how would you get to it? Unclear. Maybe down this way? Let's see. I mean, we have a bit of a waterfall here. Gotta check underneath the waterfalls, because who knows. Okay, then there's a completely different one here that I can grab. So we're gonna grab that. And then we're gonna give up on that previous one and just head over this way. Alright, where are we? Through those poison flowers. Apparently it's also going to be underground somewhere around here. If not underground, then very well hidden. Like under this tree. No. Okay, yeah, it's underground somewhere around here. So let's... There's a giant cliff over there, which I assume will have a hole in it that we can enter. Let's see here. Hole inside of cliff. Where are you? Don't be too reckless with the fuel. We gotta stop down every so often. Alright, somehow, despite this being a giant cliff, if there is a hole in the side of it, I can't find it. So we're going to head over this way to try to find that Mercer Sphere there, and I think that should be plenty for what we need. Just a little bit of a backup for once we use most of our collection on the speed upgrade. There we go. Okay, now let's just get to some convenient terrain. Slap down a MAM. And grab all of our sand fluctuators, which conveniently we have almost exactly enough of. And upload, upgrade, complete. We are now speedy.
Dimensional upload speed increased. Every particle now has encoded potential
and, yeah, we don't
reconstruction
need depot
memory
expansion.
for when any part using that particle
It's
is
not necessary.
recalled,
The storage is mostly on the physical side.
You are shifted the body core flow cycle song of the 6th layer. Harmonious. Your cycle songs will only deepen the layers.
I'm always working on myself. The time will come.
Alright. And then there are no more Mercer Spheres in the immediate vicinity. Though there is what looks like... This is nitrogen, right? Convenient. Alright, cool. So now we're going to respawn. And then... there is... one last thing that I want to do here. Which is find the aluminum. We need to find the aluminum because I want to package rocket fuel for the jetpack, obviously. And in order to do that, I need to have... I had the wrong way, isn't it? It's over there. I need to have the aluminum gas canisters, which currently we're not making any. So we need to head over here and set up our first ever drone system. We're going to need to figure out how to power it. which will be easier once we have the rocket fuel, so I guess we'll just have that be how that's done. So we're going to head over here, and we're just going to set up this side of things. So we can pass the high-speed connectors, jump over that train. And now we run over this way. That giant mess of pipes up there is the aluminum. And so we're going to set up a drone port. I think 2 drone ports, actually. Because I think we need to fuel them. Hang on, let me think. No, I think we can fuel them from the other side and have it be fine. Alright, so we're up here. And we already have this side branch that takes out the aluminum. And what we just need to do is... well, we're going to need a lot more space. So let's put a whole bunch of space onto this. And drone ports are pretty big, right? So hopefully that's enough. Yes, should be fine. Alright, drone port in. Then we get a splitter. And the splitter is going to fill up that drone port with aluminum. Alright, then we power it on. Alright, so now we have a drone port filled with aluminum. I believe the way that I've done this in the past is that, well, only one side needs to be powered and the other side is going to be right next to the rocket fuel production area, so I guess we can do it there. But then this drone port is going to be called aluminum source. And then, so what we're going to do is this is going to fill up with aluminum. Obviously, it's in the process of doing that. Then, when we need that aluminum, we're going to build a drone port at the other side, give it a drone, and tell it to come here, and just pick up the aluminum and head back. And then that side will be also be the side that the fuel goes, at least for this one. And then we can have aluminum over by our stuff there, and it will be easy to set up. Alright, so that is that. Pretty sure that's all we need to do here. We have it named, we have it connected to power, and we don't need fuel. So, we respawn probably the last time for this stream, although who knows. And now we can head back down to the blue crater to continue actually building the rocket fuel plant. Alright, so we're heading on over, and gosh, hypertube cannons are like the most wonderful thing ever invented. I'm so glad that they exist. Alright, we're here. And we have made this sort of outline of the square of blenders. And now we just need to fill in all the space. And also remember how many of these we needed, which is going to be hard because it seems to have messed with my notes again. Fortunately, I have physical notes just over there. So these blenders are making fuel. So if we run up to here, we need... Okay, how much fuel do we need? 2,250, I think, because that's how much water. Yeah, so that's 23 of these. I think these make 100 each. Yes. So that's 23 of these, as I remembered. The last one is set to half. Alright, so in they go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... and 6. Alright, those last two are all messed up. Let's take those out and place them in aligned properly. And that all checks out. And then we're just going to put all the blenders in and then connect them all up, just so we can get into a bit of a rhythm. Alright, so that goes along. And I hope we don't end up having to remove that hypertube cannon. But it should be fine. 4, 5, and 6. And let's also fill in that little gap there. Not sure how it ended up existing. And then our last row is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright. Actually, well, the last one isn't going to be 6, because we don't need that many. So we have 6, 12, 18, 23. The last one is halved. And that is 2250 fuel. Now we connect all these pipes. Alright, so this pipe is going to go along here, down the center of this row. I want to make sure that it doesn't stop right in front of anything. That'll mess with the splitters. So that goes along like that. This one goes along like this. And out to there. And now let's just finish doing those cross lines for all of these. So this one is the output, and it goes along like this. Then we have these ones. This is one tick inside of the foundation. Not sure why I did that, but whatever. Alright, so that is that. And then this taller one is going to be just one tick outside of the foundation, really crammed in there. Alright, so then that goes there. And then comes over here. Now don't connect up with the other one, that would be bad. Alright, and then another row here. This one didn't get the pipes in. So we get an output pipe here. I have to do this from scratch, which is a little bit more annoying. I thought I'd gotten all of the templates in last time, but apparently I didn't. Alright, so that goes along like that. Then we get... These are very close in. So we're gonna have this one. We should have space for this. Should be fine. So that goes along there. And then over to there. And then we just have to have a tall one in the center. And we drag it along. Like there, and then just over to the end. There we go. And then just one more row, a little bit shorter. So this gets a pipeline, which comes over here. And then the rest of the way over here. Then we have a pipeline here, which goes across this. And we're dragging this from the other side, which doesn't really make a difference, I hope. And then we get a pipeline here, which goes along this way. And there we go. So now the only thing remaining is the last little bit for the final output. So that just gets a pipeline which goes there and across and the rest of the way across. Alright, so now we just have to connect all of these pipelines up to the machines. So we get junctions on all of these. And then we get junctions on all of these, which let's just go in like this. There we go. And then this one gets junctions as well. Fortunately, they seem to be cooperating and snapping in properly, which is fantastic. Alright, then this gets its junctions. This is quite the process, but you gotta break it up into its little individual steps, and then you'll be done in no time. Alright, so these get junctions. And just keep putting these all in. Alright, then we get the top rows, which have their junctions. Just gotta make sure that they all line up to the right ones, of course. There we go. And there we go. Now we get these ones. So once we're done with the junctions, then we'll have to run along and connect all the pipes into the junctions. It shouldn't be too hard. Alright, there we go. We've got, what, one more line after this one. Alright, then we get Oh, these ones are not snapping in. Unfortunate. Oh, they did there. Sometimes they snap in then. Alright, that's bizarre. They snap in if you don't point in approximately the right direction. They do snap in if you don't. Alright, so those are all in, and now we just have to run and get these ones. And done. And then there's just this front row left. Right, just fill all these up with pipes. And then put the top rows in, and that will be that. Alright, so then that's all the junctions in, and now we just have to get the pipes. Which we can just run and do like this. And it should be pretty quick. Don't have to do quite as much work lining everything up because they just snap in properly. Alright. And we go along here, get all of these. And then we hop up here and get these. Now, I don't know if we're going to have much luck with the valves on this because of how cramped it is, but we are going to try because they will make it work a lot better, I think. Alright, so then we get these. And then we hop up and we get these. Alright. Just some time-consuming pipe placing. Alright, and then we have our last row. And then we just have the little extra bit at the end of connecting another one of these up. Alright, so those all connect up. And then we have to not get stuck like that. And all of these go down. Go. And then we just connect these up. Alright. Almost there. Alright, so we are now all connected up. The only thing left is we need to get the valves in and then connect all these pipes up to the inputs. And also we need to get all the water extractors in. That's something that we haven't done yet. But shouldn't be too hard either. Alright, so let's do these valves one set at a time. So we have this higher row, which will be, I don't know, water, I guess, and then maybe the lower row can be the heavy oil residue. Yeah, let's have that. So these need valves with 50 on them. So let's just run around and put all the valves in first. And then we can worry about the numbers. That makes more sense. all these valves just go in. And then we have to go here. And very carefully squeeze valves onto these pipes. Which is going to be much harder than the other ones. There we go. Because this one was a bit unnecessarily cramped, I think. The other ones all had more space than this, pretty much. Come on. There we go. There is enough room for these to all get their valves. There we go. And there we go. Alright, valves continue going in. And I wonder if, because there's a very real possibility for output problems because of these being basically manifolds. I wonder if having valves on the outputs will also help with that. We'll see once we confirm that those problems do actually exist, I guess. Because the other thing that we can do to solve that is to just have the pipes come out from both sides of the manifold, which is probably just convenient anyways. Alright, so now all of these need to be 50, and I've tried copy pasting and it doesn't work. So we just have to manually go in, set all of these to 50. And actually that last one's going to have to be 25 because it's half. Alright, so those are all set to 50. Now let's go back and set these, which are the water, to 100. And then we're going to have to do the other rows as well. I wonder if making this inside of a blueprint would have saved valve settings. I sure hope so. Alright, so then this is the last one. It is 25 and 50. So grab the valve, 25 and 50. Alright, so now we go over to here and do all of this. So this row is 50, then we return to get the other row as 100. And just setting some numbers along. Oh, this one I missed the valve apparently. There we go. And one more. And now these ones all get set to 100. We are getting there, slowly but surely. I mean, this is already like halfway through setting these valves, so that's nice. Yeah, once this row is done, we'll be halfway through. Just 2 more rows after this. And then we go back to here. Alright. Valves set to 50. And set to 50. And we just keep going. Alright, that's the pipeline, that's the valve. Alright. Not a slash. Gotta make sure not to do weird typos, otherwise weird stuff could happen. And now we go back and set these to 100. So yeah, this is pretty good progress. It's like a bit intimidating at first, but you just gotta chip away at it, you know? If you're like, oh, you have to do like 50 things. Well, the best way to do 50 things is to start by just doing them and not thinking about how much more there is to go, and then eventually you will finish. Alright, so then we just have this row, and then it gets all of its valve settings in, and we are almost done. Alright, that is 50, and this is 50. Then these all get set to 100. 100, 100, 100. And so yeah, the reason for these valves is to assist in the balancing so we don't have to wait for one machine to fill up before the next one can even start. Because that sort of thing happening causes all sorts of slowdowns. Alright, so those valves are all in. Then, the next thing we need to do is get the water extractors and connect them up. So these rows of 6 are going to be 600, which is, I believe, 5 water extractors each. So let's get those in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure, we can start with that. Just one nice big convenient row, and then we connect all of them across. Like that. And then we pipeline junction them up and in. Alright. So we need another 4-ish sets of these 5 water extractors. So let's get those in. We did very deliberately leave space underneath the factory for these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to use that space and just set up all of these. And then pipeline junction and send them up. So that's 2, and we just need 1.5 more. I say a half, it's obviously not actually a half, it's like 7/8, but whatever. Alright, so then this gets to go under there. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we loop this along. Alright, and now we get a pipeline junction and bring it up there. It's not exactly pleasant to look at. Let's see if we can make it a little bit better. So if we have you go up to like there, maybe, and then up. Yeah, that's a bit better at least. And then this last one, how much water do you need? 100, 200, 300, 400, 450 water. So that's going to be just 4 water extractors. And we just need to find the space for them. One, two, three, and then the water runs out there. And so I guess that makes this one number 4. Alright, this last one is a bit messed up. So those... Hello, can I land somewhere, anywhere? Thank you. There we go. So those two connect up. Then we get that onto it. And then that allows these two to connect up. And then we put a junction in. And send you up. Alright, so now we just need to get all these water extractors powered on. So we start with Power Pole Mark 3. Did I never unlock Wall Pole Mark 3? I guess not. Alright, so we're just gonna put a pole back there. And then run it along this beach until we're up here. Then we grab this and connect it into there. Alright, so now we can start powering on these water extractors. Just grab them with the power pole. And just try to grab the furthest, most annoying ones first, so that we don't have to deal with them later. Alright, so then that's all for that one. I want to leave one free space on it just to prevent me from running out entirely. And then we grab this one and get all these set up. And that one. And that one. And we need another power pole, so let's just place it there. And get the last couple of these. That. And that. Alright, is that all of them? I think that's all of them. And then we just have the question of, is the water going to make it all the way up? The answer to that question seems to be no. It's getting up to around here and then getting stuck. Yep, that's pretty much what I expected. So you get a pump. And you get a pump. And encroaching on other items clearance. You get a pump. And you get a pump. Alright, so now we just need to power these pumps on. So there. There. I cannot seem to grab it. There we go. That one. And then we're going to use this last one to place an additional power pole there. And then pump that. Alright, so these should all be getting water now. And it looks like that is indeed the case. We love to see it. And then, yeah, so these are also all filled with water. Obviously, it doesn't take that long. Alright, so next up is we have to connect the heavy oil residue into these. So each of these rows is going to be 300. How is our heavy oil residue divided up? We have these two pipes, each of which is a lot. Let's see, these last ones are underclocked, right? So that's 2.5. That's 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240, 280, 320, 360, okay, I think that was right, but I got concerned and stopped counting and lost track. 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240, 280, 320, 360, 400, 440, 480, 520, 560, 562.5. If I've done the math right. And then the other side should be identical to that, right? This last one is underclocked and the rest are the same. So we have two pipes of 562.5 that we need to split into 300 plus 300 plus 300 plus just less than 300. So 300 times 4 is 1200. And 562.5 times 2 is 1125. So we should be 75. Yes, and we are. Alright, that makes sense. So, because we're missing one machine on the back line, which is 50 heavy oil residue, and then one which is half, which is 25. Alright, always good to check that the math lines up. So now we just need to get this split, which is going to be a bit weird. It's not the world's most intuitive thing ever, but I mean it shouldn't be that bad, right? We just have to take the pipe over this way. And let's see here. Where can we put this that's not going to mess with the water at all? I guess there. So, we take our heavy oil residue pipes there. Gotta be in pipe mode for this, of course. Alright, so then we're just gonna start by getting these pipes around this corner. So they come out like that. Then we can bring them in to here. Like that and that. So we need this pipe to continue on that way, and then we need a junction here. Can I be in jetpack mode? That'll make this a bit easier to line up. So we get a junction there, which goes there, and is valved to 300. There we go. Then we, let's see, we want to take the next bit out of this one. So this one comes along to, is that even going to be far enough? I think we need a little bit more space. So this one can come along to here. Let's say there. And then it gets a junction off of it, which is valved to 300. And I could technically just use Mark 1 pipes for this, but I'm using Mark 2 pipes with valves instead, because why not? Alright, so those both have 300 chopped off, which means that past this point we should be able to merge the two. And actually, just to make even more extra certain, we can use some head lift shenanigans. So if that goes up a little bit, and that also immediately goes up a little bit, then these will be lower priority than those. So we bring this along like that. And then we connect those two up there, which then drops down to there. So that's going down immediately, so it's going to have priority. And then we take this pipe a little bit further over before going down into there. And then we just need to valve these to 300 and to, what is this? It's going to be 225, I think. And that should handle it. So that is all in. Now we just have to power these machines on and see if they work. Now, there's a lot of space taken up here by not a lot of machines, so just a couple of Mark III power lines will do this. So those are all in. Then we connect this back so that these batches can have a power line. There we go. Then this comes back even more. Squeeze that in a little bit. Then all of these get a power line. And then back one last row. And all of these get attached to the power line. Alright. So now that's all hooked up. Let's see, how much power is this one thing? This one thing is 1,600 megawatts. And we have that much spare. It'll be fine. So we just connect those across, and then they all start going. See, there's a noticeable jump there, but it is still within the border of manageable by our power grid, as long as the batteries aren't embarrassing. How much batteries do we have? 1,600 megawatt hours. Okay, that might be a concern. We might want to place a whole bunch of extra batteries here. So let's do that. Let's find some free space over here where we're not super likely to put anything. Because it's sort of... I guess actually this isn't a bad place. This is probably like the most convenient place to put the rocket fuel production, as long as we're willing to work around that geyser. So let's actually head over here, because we're definitely not doing any funny business with rocket production in this space, because there's just not that much of it, and it's sort of in the way with other things. So we get all that in, and then we are just going to place a whole bunch of power storage. And so this is so that when we turn everything on, it doesn't have a major issue. Because obviously machines spiking can cause... machines all turning on at once is going to happen when this starts up, and then there'll be a bit of a delay before the rocket fuel is fully produced. Alright, so that is all we can do with the wire we have available for now. So we're just going to hook these all up, see how much of a difference it makes. Hopefully it'll be something of a difference. Alright, so that is, yeah, it's basically doubled. So 3,300 megawatt hours means that if we only go over by like 1,000, this will last for several hours. And if we go over by a lot more than that, it'll still last for probably like 10-15 minutes, which should be enough time, hopefully, to get the starts of the rocket fuel production online, assuming that this fills. So this is going to fill in an hour. That's probably okay. In the meantime, this power is dropped back down because these machines are all no longer have the space to output. Alright, so we have our fuel. We have our fuel, and now the only thing left to do is just put it into the blenders to make the nitro fuel. So if we go production, blender, something like that. Nitro rocket fuel. This makes 150. It uses 100 fuel per minute. So we're going to have the same number of these as we have those, which is 22 and a half. Which honestly kind of makes me want to just like put this directly above that and have all of these just pipe directly up. It's probably going to cause issues with pumps, but we can work around that. And it'll also just prevent everything from being on one giant nightmare floor, which is a huge advantage. Oh, also I think I missed one. Yes, I did. You get powered up. There we go. So you can go along, produce all of that stuff. Now, we will cover over all of this with a giant foundation. And just keep going over this way. Until this whole area, because we were going to be putting these blenders directly on top of the other ones. Oh, as long as space allows it, because these blenders do have more inputs than the other ones, but we can manage that with another floor on top if need be. And also the inputs for this are going to be mostly more compact, I think. Alright, so this all gets covered up. Hey look, the coal is right there. That's handy. Alright, so these all go along like that. Alright, so we need these to go directly up. Which, you know, there isn't a splitter for that, but we can just put another splitter to the side, I guess. So each of these are going to get a splitter here, and we can still use this. So this cross pipe that we have, which we're probably not going to end up using it to transport fluid, but it will be useful for basically just hijacking headlift across the entire thing. So let's continue putting these junctions on, and then we're going to go up and figure out where it all needs to be from that side. Yeah, so this is technically causing these machines to start running again, but not very much. Because junctions technically have more pipe in them than pipe does. Alright. And one more junction there. And then we get this row, which all goes up here. Alright. There we go. Alright, so now we go up a layer, and we grab a blender. And this actually needs a little bit more. Just one more row there. And also fill in that little gap. And then go across to there. Alright, so we get a blender. And this is going to... See, that one, the center, the edge is right on this corner, I believe. Pretty sure that's the same corner. Fly directly above it. Yeah, that looks right. And then these are not fuel, they are nitro rocket fuel. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Actually, we want these to be facing the other way around because the input is on that side. So, same idea, but just facing the other way. Rotate, line it up with that corner, and then we place these in, set them to make nitro rocket fuel. And then we place all of those in. So these make 150, which is, yep, that's 4. So 4 of those are going to make one output pipe, and then the other 2 will be doing their own thing and merging up with others. Alright, so these need pipeline floor hole there or there, whichever is more convenient for these ones, I guess. Alright, so they can go up like that. And I don't know if they're going to make it all the way up. It would be very convenient if they did. It'd also be very convenient if the floor hole worked as advertised didn't do weird stuff. So that goes in there. That goes around in there. And let's power this on to see if it is reaching. It is. That is pretty convenient, I would say. Although it's only filled up 8.9. And that's not running anymore. Alright. So I think we may have failed. So instead, we are just going to make a water tower. So, fluid buffer. It has that. And it has that. And that goes into there. That comes down to there. And goes into there. Alright, now the fluid buffer we need to fill. We need to fill the fluid buffer. And then we need the fluid buffer to not actually ever empty. So where is that? Goes like that. Alright, so now we are pumping fuel up into this buffer, which should theoretically also pump fuel up into this, which it isn't. That's somehow gotten up to 31.4 or something. I'm not sure how it managed to do that. Although at least all this is working. So that's still at 31.4. Maybe it's because that's lower priority than the fluid buffer. Let's see. Fluid buffer is now full. And that is also. Alright, so that should be good to go. Now we can, assuming that that works properly, which I think it will, we can then just put all of these in and then connect the rest of them up. So these then all go in and then we drop down and then all of these go up. And we should be filling this whole thing now. And that is being dumb. Pipelines. How wonderful the floor holes are. They're so consistent and reliable. There we go. Alright, so that is all good. Now, I do want to just power all of these on, simply to confirm that this is actually working, and not just like a weird fluke or anything like that. So we power each of these on. And they should all be filling with fuel. Yes, they are. Cool. So that is the most annoying input in. Now, the next thing we need to do is figure out when this row starts. So this row starts right cleanly on this midway point. So it's that midway point there. And we need to rotate it to face the right way. And then move it to line up. Alright, so that is how much space we have if we want this to work. And in that space, we need this to have its outputs of both solid and fluid. The fluids can just go up, I guess, because we're going to be building that on top of all this, so that's fine. So solid outputs can go here, and then output that way, I guess. So that just has to merge up over there. How much compacted coal is this going to be per row? It's going to be 25 times 6 is 150. So mark 3. And then obviously we can just have a sink over here past the edge. And that's fine. Alright, then this is going to need its own one of those. And then, more importantly, is we need to fit in nitrogen gas, sulfur, and coal. So, let's see here. We have coal is over there. But we don't really need to attach it in, we just need to have it physically placed. So the sulfur is 100, the coal is 50. And this is a 1-to-6 splitter that we need for both of those. So those are both going to have to be on the floor above, I guess. So let's get that floor in as well, because it's obviously going to be very important to the planning for this. Alright, so this is going to be the main logistics floor. And let's just cover over this gap. So this is approximately the space we have available. So, we need a pipeline hole going up for the output, like that. We need a pipeline hole coming down for the input, like that. And then we need 2 conveyor lift holes, which go there and there, I think. And no, that is 1 tick further over, like that. And then these need to be 150. 100 for the sulfur, 50 for the coal. Alright, so that is what that is going to look like. And now we go up. So let's actually, we're going to have to just get this entire row in just to see what it's like. So that, and what that. Alright, note to self, we are going to have to check the belt speeds. Actually, we can preempt that by just making all of these Mark IIs, and then whichever one I end up sending into which port will be fine. So then we get those 2. And then we get these ones. Alright. Make sure those are the Mark IIs that they need to be. And then these ones go in. Okay, that is one tick too far. And then we need this to come a little bit over here for that. Like so, and then we get the last of these in. Alright, and now it is just the fluid holes, which can go there. And there. And there. And there. And then there. And then that. This one should be moved a little bit so that it's lined up with the rest of them. Alright, so we have that. And then we also have this, so this all has to fit within this area, or it can go out to here, I guess. Yeah, so then let's get that space in. So this pipeline is there, and it can output to up there. So basically, this is the space we have to work with. And we need two 1-to-6 splitters and a pipeline. So actually, this should be pretty easy, right? Right, so we just need one of these to go over this way, and if this one can fit, then the other one will fit, because the other one has more space. And this one should fit fine. We're going to be as compact as possible, just to be sure. And don't place them off center like that. Alright, so then this attaches into those three. This one attaches into those three. And then we get that, which is threes. I don't know how fast these belts need to be for everything, but we can figure that out relatively easily. So this is 600 total sulfur and 300 total coal, right? Yes. So if this is the coal, then these being Mark IIIs would be fine because it's 150, 150. We'll need more space for the sulfur to be on a, those will have to be on a Mark V belt. Alright, and then that fits in, right? Yeah, it just barely fits in, but it does. Then we get these in. So these all go over here. There should be more space here because the blenders are big. And we get a splitter and a splitter. And then these just go across like that. And these go across like that. There we go. And where is the sulfur? The sulfur is over there. So having it all come in from this side and split across will probably be the easiest. Alright, so then that has to be 400. That has to be marked 4. And then there. So this all fits in nicely, and then for these it's pretty much trivial. We just get a little bit more space over here first. And then we just get this pipeline running over the top. And then splitting down to each. Alright, apparently splitting directly down, it doesn't want to snap at all. So we're just going to have to eyeball it. And whatever, the pipes can deal with it. Pipes don't have to be exactly on line. They can wiggle around a little bit, especially if we set it to noodle mode. Alright. So yeah, this floor hole is being weird. So we just gotta replace it. And snap it up there. Then this one is being weird, so we're gonna have to replace it. We might have to do this for all of them. Hope we don't, because this is getting to be a bit annoying. Alright, looks like we are. So yeah, what happens is it like sees the other side of the pipe and tries to connect it in a weird, stupid way. And I don't understand why it does that, but it does it sometimes. And by sometimes I mean like half the time. So we just have to take those out and then put these back in like that. Now the only one is this one, which we didn't get right. So we take it out, put it back in, and then connect it up. Alright, so that is that. And then we just... let's see here. Yes, we do need to bring these up for organizational purposes. So let's get the extra foundation in here for the output. And let me guess, I got this one wrong too. Yeah, of course I did. Alright. Pipe floor holes are like the most annoying thing ever invented. Alright, so we're just gonna get all of these in and then fix it later once we figure out how broken it is. Right, then we just have to expand that out a bit more. And get that one. Alright, then we send them all up. Like that. And that. And that. So then we can collect those together into a pipeline, which we can just run along here, I guess. Got plenty of space, right? Yeah, tons. And this actually, it has to be two separate. So these, I think we're going to go with these two as the odd ones out. Don't know why, just because. Actually, no, because the weird ones on the back row are over there. So we need to connect up 4 of these. Like that. And then the other 2 like that. So then we put all these junctions in. And once, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on with just this first stage, just to confirm that this is all working. Of course, this pipe is all messed up. So that, no, did it wrong again. Now I hit the button. Alright, so that then goes up and into there. And then hopefully I got the rest of these right. Looks like I did. Okay, what? I just clicked on a Reddit pop-up accidentally, which is impossible to avoid because I don't even have my cursor visible. Alright, so that is all hooked up there, and now we just need to get in our solid output, which is going to go over this way, and this will be the compacted coal, which we don't need, and this is going to be 25 times 6, right? So we've done that math before. It's 150, which means Mark III belts, and I guess I'm using them for the inputs where they're not strictly needed, but that's fine. And then I think we can use this compacted coal just to, like, fuel drones, probably. I mean, we're going to have a lot of it, right? Constantly producing, and no other particular use for it. So it's going to be a total of 150, 300, 450. It's going to be a total of less than 600, so that should be fine, which means this sink isn't going to be here. We're going to have one sink for all of them. And so let's have a merger there. And then some extra space out that way, where we have our smart splitter, which is going to have a side sink output. So put in a little bit more space there for that. Like that. And like that. So left, overflow. And then the center will be, I guess, we're just going to have the drone ports be over there somewhere, which we will deal with later. For now, let us get another power line there to get you hooked up. These guys are already powered on. So now we just need to go, what, how much? 600 sulfur, 300 coal into that and into that. Alright, so we have plenty of coal here. And actually, let's just set up the space back here for that splitting to happen in. Alright, so that all goes out like that. And then the coal and sulfur, I guess, will come up here. Well, the sulfur can come from that side over to this way. So let's make the space for that to happen. And then the coal can just come from here over that way. So for now, let's get this, because we need to bring the coal up to the right level. And that is going to require something like that. And then we go floor hole and floor hole. And then they both pull down. And the coal goes in. There and there. Alright. So this will output all the way over this way. And then it'll come over here to, I guess, this general vicinity, where we will split off 300 of it into this, and then 300 of it off that way, and then the other coal belt will handle the other 2 rows. Then we need the sulfur. So this is 600 sulfur, which means probably just 1 whole belt. Actually, these are a bit weirdly distributed, huh? So that's 750, that's 300, these 2 are 600. Okay, so we actually want this to be 600 and 450, which is a bit annoying because that's not how we have it currently, but oh well. So let's just deal with that now, I guess, because these need to be in batches of 600, and apparently we don't have power over here, so we're going to swap to jetpack mode. So 750 divided by 600 is 1.25. So if we divide 750 by 5, we get a whole bunch of batches of 150. But dividing 750 by 5 is hard. Okay, better idea is we can just do a rate limiter, I guess. So 600. Oh, yeah, so that's easier. So we have 750 here. We take a smart splitter and a smart splitter. So this is going to be 480 plus 120. And then this is right any center overflow. This is right any center overflow. And we have our belt of 600. And then we go, that can be left overflow and merge up with that to make a belt of 450, which, let's see, can I copy that sign? So this belt is 450 and it is designated for the final row. However, this belt is 600 and so it can just go forwards to the primary setup. So we need to bring this over there first. And it's going to need to go up, like, probably just up one wall segment should be fine. So that I can just get over the coal cleanly. So then we have this, which, let's see, where is that gonna line up? It's gonna line up like there maybe. And then go across into that. Alright, and then we want this to go a bit over this way to leave room for the other sulfur belts to come in. So this will come over this way, and only like back here will it curve over here. And then this belt just goes along. And oh, it's doing the straight mode thing. Okay, default mode it is. And then we just keep going until this is over there. Alright. Now that we are over here-ish, we need to get back over that way. So this can come around this way. And then we just need to line up to there. So, we drop down here. You can go up there and then enter a floor hole. I think is aligned like that. And then you all go up. Now, I have to jetpack up there. And the autosave actually came in clutch there. That made that rise a lot faster than it could have been. And now we just bring that along to there. And then the sulfur will go. Alright. So sulfur is on its way. Coal is already there. And let's see, are these? No, these are not gonna be. Oh no, those are gonna be fast enough as long as this is a Mark IV, which looks like it is. Yeah, so that's a Mark IV, so we're all good. That's a Mark IV. And all those are Mark IIs. Alright, yeah, everything looks correct. So these should be filling up with sulfur fast enough. And we check, and yep, almost there. So then the only thing left is the nitrogen gas, which is 75. So 75 times 6 is 450. So let's find our nitrogen gas pipes. They are over here. And these are going to be these in batches. So mostly batches of 600 with one batch of 300. Alright, well that's fine. So the pipes are just going to have to... The pipes are just going to have to deal, honestly, with being a bit weird. So, let's see. The last one, let's see, is 75 times, what is it, 4.5? I think. So the last one is going to be 337.5. So we can actually just take each of these pipes of 600. And as long as we just grab some spare for the others, then it'll be fine. Right, and we may as well just go up here and grab this pipeline junction there. Then we need a bit more floor over here. So then this comes over this way. Oh, we don't actually want it to go down to ground level though, because we need it to get over this belt, I think. So we go over that, and then we can come around to here. And now this pipe just goes and goes until eventually we make it and start producing rocket fuel. Alright. I keep trying to immediately re-click and send another pipe, but it keeps not doing that. Alright, so then that goes into there. And we send nitrogen gas through, and now this pipe should fill up with rocket fuel. Just, yeah. Those are turning green. Okay, so what I want to do here is, first of all, valve at 450. And second of all, I want each of these to have valves at 75. So you get a valve, and you get a valve, you get a valve, and you... And did I just put 2 valves on that, or did I place a valve facing backwards? And you... And you. Alright, so now each of these are set to 75. And that should get the whole thing going. If I can select the valve properly. There we go. And then this one, you get 75. And then, hello, select the, why is the hitbox like absolutely minuscule? So you're 75, and then you are 75. Alright, so that is that. And now this has filled up with rocket fuel. Cool. So, next thing we need is... Okay, actually we need this to have a bit of a belt, like that. And then we need to accumulate some compacted coal, actually. So let's make sure that happens. Although it seems like these ones further back hadn't quite stopped yet. So we just need, like, a little bit of the stuff. And then we need, not to blueprints, we need to go to, let's see, up here, I guess, is where that is. So that would make this a sensible location. So we just make whole bunch of space over here. And fill in all of this with foundations, and then we're going to put in a drone port. Alright. Drone port in. Check. Now, this goes up. Alright, so that goes up and is going to go into the fuel segment of the drone port, and hopefully it can use compacted coal. It should be able to. Also, Mark V belts are insane overkill for this, but it's fine. It might not be able to use compacted coal. Let's see. If it can't, then we're going to have to do a little bit extra work until the rocket fuel itself is up and running. Yeah, okay, so this can't use compacted coal, which is a bit of a shame, but it's fine. So we're going to jump start this with regular old fuel, which is going to cause some problems, but whatever. So you get some packaged fuel, and we send that in. Then this is going to be named rocket fuel aluminum. Then we go to transport, pop a drone in, give you destination port aluminum source. So it is currently not enough fuel, but it is filling up. Can we just make that a quicker belt, I guess? It's probably going to need a fair amount of fuel to do this. Alright. So now that is going off. So now that that's going away, we need a constructor. And we need the constructor to make empty fluid tanks. And this can only handle a Mark 1 belt, so we're just going to only give it a Mark 1 belt. Then we need power up here. So that, and let's just get a Mark 3 power pole as well. Alright, so that is going to make 60 empty fluid tanks a minute. And then we go over here and we get a packager, which will send those empty fluid tanks into there to package rocket fuel, which will be powered on. And then we can just take this pipe over and it will go over this way and in there. Alright, so that will produce packaged rocket fuel. Then we need to do two things. First of all, we need to take that fuel out, take that storage container out, and send... Actually, no, we need a splitter here. So this is just going to be a regular splitter, I think. So it just does that, and that. So half of it will go to fueling the drone network, and the other half will go to filling my own personal dimensional storage, which is just stick a storage container and a dimensional depot. And there we go. Alright, so once that drone returns, which hopefully won't take too long. Yeah, it's coming back already. Then we can get rocket fuel, and that should be pretty neat. Having rocket fuel jetpacks will be quite fun, and the very start, at least, of a rocket fuel powered drone network. Although we're gonna have to fix this up a little bit. Actually, let's do that now. So what we need is that to be a splitter, which goes to there, and then can we fit in another drone port in here? If we're very, very careful, we can, barely. So then this will go to there and there. Alright, so the drone is landing. Then we're going to call this drone port rocket fuel source. And power it on. So as long as we don't need more than 60 rocket fuel a minute, and that shouldn't probably be too much of an issue, then this will go. And I think I want this to be a smart splitter with center any left overflow, because this is powering the rocket fuel production, and I do not want this machine specifically to run out. Alright, so it's currently insufficient fuel. We are sending the rocket fuel in now. And that should be a huge difference, right? Package rocket fuel 0.5 per minute as opposed to 5 per minute. Yeah, that's pretty good deal. And then we're also, of course, producing some for ourselves, which you love to see. And yeah, so now that has enough power, and it can go off and continue grabbing that. Also, what is this? Is that important? Oh, that's the compacted coal. Yeah, okay, that's not important at all. Cool. All right. How much rocket fuel do we have? We have 40 already. So let's just do a quick comparison test between regular fuel and rocket fuel. So we're going to drop down here, and we are just going to hold down the spacebar. Not the most efficient way of gaining height, but very consistent. So we go up, and we don't quite clear the refineries. Alright, then... Oh, wait, no, I don't want to send those there. I want this to preferred fuel, package turbo fuel. Alright, we go much quicker, and we get all the way up there. Also, we're gonna die. Alright. Gotta be ready for that, for the rocket fuel, because it's about to get a bit crazy, I think. Now, we grab our rocket fuel. Where is it? There it is. Slightly harder to see. Swap to package rocket fuel. And up we go. Yeah, that is pretty spectacular. So let me cushion our fall real quick. And now, if we just want to, like, gain height naturally, like, in an actual efficient way, I mean, we can fly for ages like this by just lightly tapping space every so often. So that is pretty cool. And then that should be filling that up, and eventually it'll go across. And hopefully we don't need to use too much of that because we are relying on this for power. Which does kind of make me not want to use this for the drone network because I want to just have a good, reliable power production, but it's fine. Alright, so this is totally functional now. As far as I can tell. These are... Yeah, the reason they're stuck is because there's just not enough rocket fuel demand. Oh, it's so nice. It is. It is so cool having rocket fuel. And we could, technically, burn some power shards to enhance this up to ionized fuel. But I don't really need that. What I do need is to finish the remaining rows of this. Although, actually, I might want to... the power. Okay, so this we're still in the positive. We're still in the positive. Should be fine. I might want to set up some rocket fuel, some power production just off of this first sort of quarter row that I have here. Let's think about that. Let's think about that. Do I want to do that? No, I want to do everything all at once. So let's see. It is 4:23. I will do another row of this. Another row or two, maybe, depending on how long it takes. Alright, how much space is there? There's 2 full things, so it's going to be like that. So that goes in there. Then we drop down. And you go something like that. And then we're up. Alright, so that is that distance marked in. Now we just have to get the rest of these. 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so those are all in, and now we need to connect them up to the logistics floor. So let's get the headspace in. And then the rest of the way. And then we cover this up as well. Alright, now we put all of these pipes in. So we have that one. And we need to have this one line up with it like that. And hopefully these aren't going to be annoying and connect in wrong, but let's be real, they probably will. So we'll have to see if they need fixing once they're all in. Alright, how does that line up? Does that go there? No, it goes one more over this way. Which isn't really a huge deal because it's just going to be manually lined up there anyways, but it'll be slightly better. Alright, so that is that row in from the output side. And now we need to come over here and get all of these inputs in. So we have that. And down to there. And back up. And back down. Alright, so let's see. These, we can line them up manually like that and that. Is that right? No, that should be one tick over. Then this one goes there. And this one is there, and there, and there, and there. And then in those two places, is that really? All of those are one tick too far back. Okay, that's annoying. I immediately misaligned them right off the gate. Alright. No, that's not. Now that's too far to the right. Getting these alignments is really... I wish it would auto-place floor holes for you when you like just dragged a lift through the ceiling. It would save so much time. Alright, so now those are all in. And we can just send them up. Up we go. And a little bit more. Alright, so that's all those lifts. Now we need to go back to getting the fluids in. Which side were we doing? Alright, so this is input from below. So all these go in here. And then this is input put from above, so we just put them up there. And just place them all in. Alright, so now we drag the pipes across. And I really hope that these don't get put into the floor holes backwards, because it will take forever to fix if they do. There we go. So those are all in. Now we drop down to here. And we connect these up. There we go. And one last one up to there. And then I think we need to hook this into that, I guess, for the headlift reasons. So let's take this pipe, drag it over this way, and connect it up to that. So that should give the head lift across, I think. Oh, we'll see. Alright, so these are all in, right? Right. Alright, so now we have to go up here. And... Alright, one of them is backwards, the rest of them seem good. Fortunately, it's the easiest one to fix. So you come out, and you go back up into there. And now we just have to connect it across. So this pipe goes up there and across the row. Stop there to refresh pipe length, and then come across here, and that is as far as you need to go. Alright, I think within power grids, hoverpack is still more convenient than rocket fuel jetpack, because it's just more stable. As opposed to the rocket fuel jetpack is very jittery in terms of like you hit a button and you go flying, or you don't hit a button and you drop. Alright, so then we just connect this into all of these. So all of those go in. And now we just need these. So this side, just trying to do this the same way everywhere. So we have coal on this side, which can be Mark 1 belts at the last step. And then we have sulfur on this side, which has to be Mark 2 belts the entire way. And then we just have to get our splitters in. Alright, so conveyor splitter there and there. So you go there, there, there. All these belts go in. And then we get this, which goes Mark 4 to each of those, and it'll take in a Mark 5 itself. And then we just have to do our coal. So those splitters go in. And then the output belts go in. Like that. And then we get that, which, hang on, that has to be Mark 3, I think, because it's going to be 150 each on those. Alright, so that's the coal, that's the nitrogen, that's the sulfur, and the fuel is down below. So now we just run in our output pipe, which goes past those two, then stops, then goes past these 4, then stops. And now we put the junctions in. And then we connect these across. Yeah, okay, so that is doing that again. But at least most of them are working. At least most of them are working. So those all go in, and then this last one needs to be fixed. So we drop down here. Dismantle that. Send that up there. Send that in. Alright, and now we have the mergers. Wait, that's facing the wrong way. And I think it's lined up properly. It's a bit far away to tell for sure. And yes, it is. Alright, so then this all connects up. Mark III belts. Like that. And then we just have to take this and merge it across into that. So that connects up there. And then that all goes, and... Alright, now we have to simply power them up and connect all of these inputs in. So, first off, nitrogen. Gotta get another one of these in. And actually, let's see here. Alright, we're over here, so back to the jetpack. So this pipe comes up. And we have to get some more space for it. And actually, I think we should get stackable pipeline supports here. And then, alright, don't place 50 billion of them. I just need, what, 3? Because we have that one. We have that one, so I just need 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. So then this just goes into that. And let's connect all of these up while we're here. Might as well. So that comes up. And that comes up. Why in this particular order? Who knows? Not me. Then they all go into the stackable support. And then we can just take them along. So this goes along this way. And I don't know if that's... I don't know if the pipes are going to reach far enough. No, not quite that far. Alright, so then that goes there. And then there. And then we go a little bit further. Just out to like there. Maybe. And then that goes in there, and then curves into that. Alright. So that is that. Then we need to get the coal, which is easy in this case because we have this belt here. I need to get out of fluids mode. So this coal belt comes around this way. And goes into that. Then we need to grab another sulfur belt, which is also somewhat annoyingly all the way over here. And we need to grab one of the 600s, which means this one, which is hilariously far away. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So this will connect across to there. And then I guess that can get a floor hole. And then come down to there. Where that goes in. And then we go up. Alright, apparently this is one tick too low, which we can simply fix by having this go up a level. Alright, so then we have this, which is going to have to come out this way. And how do we... So we can just put them in this space here. And that should be fine. Should have plenty of space for that. So that goes out a little bit more like that. Then this will, if I can click on it, this can then go over this way, and then over that way. Is that gonna clip with that? No, it's not. It's perfectly fine. So then we just drag this along using default mode, because straight mode is very bad at doing straight lines. Straight mode is meant for corners, that's why it's called straight mode. And then we just have to take this belt all the way over to here. Where, let's see, it has to go over that. And we just get floor hole there. And we put the lift in. And across that way. Alright, then this is going to need to... Actually going to need to come out a little bit here to get under that. And then just go into there. Alright, so that is sulfur connected in. And now we just need to power on this line of machines. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this last one should also reach 6. There we go. Those are all connected up and making rocket fuel. Alright, so that is that. We are halfway done with our rocket fuel production and have not even started on the generator placement, but that is a job for next time, obviously. So I think we're going to call it there. It is 4:45. That's just about a good time to stop. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I had a lot of fun here. So let's see here. Tomorrow we are going to be playing Factorio, where we are doing something probably. And yeah, Factorio is all a blur, honestly. When I'm not playing it, I have no idea what's going on. It's very fun though. It's a very, very productive blur. And then here in Satisfactory, we're just gonna continue on building this power plant. Next time, barring any major catastrophes, we should pretty comfortably be able to finish the production stage and then move on to the fuel generator replacement phase, which is gonna take absolutely ages. So if you want to stop by and hang out so I have someone to talk to and I'm not just placing machines over and over and over again for 3 hours, that would be greatly appreciated. So yeah, make sure to stop by. We'll be doing that on Wednesday. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So if you're interested in factory building games, make sure to follow if you haven't already so that you can see whenever I'm live. And yeah, I'd say that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!